Welcome back to the one and only To Pity Rules the World channel, where we don't just peel back the pages of history, we blast them open to reveal the secrets lying beneath. Fasten your seatbelts, historians, because today we're digging into the genealogical goldmine and uncovering the ties that bind modern American politicians to the dark history of slavery. Before we set off on this time-traveling journey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't be left behind. Get ready, because today's excavation is bringing to light some shocking revelations. Reuters has done some serious detective work, unearthing ancestral ties between contemporary American political figures and slaveholding forebears. The history books are rattling, and the ghosts of the past are whispering in our ears. Buckle up as we navigate through ancestral echoes, the politicians and their ties to slavery. And hold on to your monocles, folks, because we've got a presidential plot twist that's juicier than a White House scandal. Brace yourselves, history hounds, because this just in, at least 5 U.S. presidents have a slaveholding ancestor. Joe Biden, George W. Bush, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, they've all got a skeleton in the family closet, and it's wearing chains. Talk about a family reunion you wouldn't want to crash. But wait, there's more. Our very own President Biden has been making waves with his views on slavery. From marking Slavery Remembrance Day to supporting the study of reparations, he's not just acknowledging history, he's dancing with it.
You know, I find myself once again in the same position as President Obama. We both oppose reparations, and we both are the descendants of slaveholders.
Reuters pulled out all the stops, tracing lineages and combing through thousands of documents. But here's the intriguing part. Only a quarter of the politicians identified as having slave-holding ancestors were willing to comment. Most shut the door and pulled the curtains. The question is, are they simply not ready to face the music, or is this history too haunting to acknowledge publicly?
And former President Barack Obama. LaBrenda Garrett Nelson was one of the genealogists.
You know, the contrast between President Obama, whom you don't associate with enslavers, and then Amy Coney Barrett, they're people at opposite ends of the political spectrum in many ways, but they have this in common, and that's...
Let's shift gears and examine the varying reactions to these ancestry revelations. While some politicians have slammed the door shut on this uncomfortable truth, others have taken a more reflective stance. The discovery of slaveholding ancestors has led to a range of responses, from outright denial to thoughtful acknowledgement. Some have chosen to confront their family's dark past, recognizing that history's shadows linger in the present. Others have deflected or dismissed the findings, perhaps fearing the political fallout. But one thing is clear, these ancestral echoes are resonating in the halls of power, and they're sparking a conversation that's long overdue. Whether that conversation leads to understanding or division remains to be seen, but it's a tune that's playing on repeat, and America is listening.
Reuters found that 118 of America's most powerful leaders have direct ancestors who enslaved Black people. They include 5 living presidents, 2 Supreme Court justices, 11 governors, and at least 100 of the 536 members in the last sitting Congress.
We can't ignore that these revelations have arrived in the midst of a tumultuous time in American politics. The nation is still reeling from the George Floyd protests that rocked 2020. Issues like how to teach slavery and racism in schools, the removal of Confederate monuments, and financial reparations for descendants of enslaved people are all simmering in the political pot. What might these revelations mean for American politics and society? Will this give momentum to the discussions about reparations, or will it deepen the divide between those who want to acknowledge history and those who'd rather keep it under the rug? Let's take a moment to dissect President Biden's stance on slavery. He's marked Slavery Remembrance Day, supported the study of reparations, and even faced criticism for his comments on the legacy of slavery. But what does it all mean? Is he leading a conga line towards change, Or is this just political posturing? And how does this tie in with the revelations about his slave-holding ancestor? Grab your detective hats, because we're diving deep.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Donald Trump's stance on slavery education has been controversial, with his push against critical race theory. Hold on to your history books, folks, because former President Trump has taken us on a wild ride through time. In a speech that could only be described as a Trump classic, he managed to downplay the legacy of slavery, turning 246 years of human suffering into a mere footnote. But don't worry, he assured us that America's founding set in motion the unstoppable chain of events that abolished slavery. That's right. The man who defended Confederate monuments has now become a history teacher, offering lessons in patriotic education. So buckle up, students, because Professor Trump's history class is in session, and it's unlike any history lesson you've ever had.
Well, no, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington?
Ladies and gentlemen, grab your dancing shoes because Governor Ron DeSantis is leading us in a dance with history, and it's a dance that's raising eyebrows. In a move that's got historians scratching their heads and comedians sharpening their pencils, DeSantis has defended a curriculum that teaches that slaves developed skills. But wait, there's more. He even suggested that black people benefited from slavery by learning skills. Now that's a history lesson with a twist. Join us as we waltz through DeSantis's dance with history, where the steps are as controversial as they are confusing. It's a dance you won't want to miss.
Just talk about your take on these new standards and the one sentence that's received the most backlash. I'll just read it to you. Instruction includes how slaves develop skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. So let's just be clear. You believe this is an important topic that should be taught in schools?
So that means they develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of slavery. It was them showing resourcefulness and then using those skills. If this was a different state and the governor wasn't running for president, no one would have said anything about that.
Hold on to your hats, folks, because Robert Francis Kennedy Jr. is taking us on a wild ride through the twisted tunnels of slavery, but not the kind you might expect. From comparing coal power to slavery to warning us about the shackles of financial slavery, RFK Jr. is serving up history with a side of satire, and let's not forget his family's commitment to civil rights. It's a roller coaster of revelations, and we're here to take you through every loop and twist. So buckle up, and let's dive into RFK Jr.'s rendezvous with slavery.
And everybody in England and everybody in Parliament knew that the slave trade had to be abolished, that it was immoral, that it was wrong. But it was 25% of the GNP of the country. And it was the largest source of energy for the British Empire. It was free human labor that drove the British Empire, drove industry in the British Empire.
With a nation divided on racial issues and politicians' ancestries now under the microscope, what's going to happen next? Will Senator Duckworth's candor set a precedent for others? Will this finally break the congressional deadlock on bills regarding reparations? The forecast is cloudy with a chance of political storms. On one hand, the revelations may fuel the push for reparations and a more honest reckoning with history. On the other hand, resistance and denial could deepen divisions. And let's not forget the wild card, the 2024 presidential candidates. Their stances on these issues could shape the national conversation and even policy. So buckle up, history buffs, because the winds of change are blowing, and they might just sweep us into uncharted territory. Well, history hounds, that wraps it up for today. The revelations of our politicians' familial ties to slavery are adding fuel to an already roaring fire. As Senator Duckworth showed, owning up to the past may be painful but necessary. But wait, there's a twist in the tale. The 2024 presidential election is looming, and the candidates are sharpening their swords. Will they wield the revelations as weapons or shields? Will they dance to the tune of history, or try to rewrite the score? The stage is set, the players are ready, and the drama is about to unfold. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on what's coming next. Drop a comment below about what you think should happen now. What's your take on reparations, teaching history, and how politicians should address their past? This is Chadwick von Ancestry signing off. Keep your eyes on the past and your hearts open to change, because the next act of this political theater is about to begin.